starting with our basic linear equations. Now, basic linear equations is talking about an equation that asks you to find a pronumeral. Okay, so we'll have x or a or something like that. We'll have to look for that. I'll show you some easy ways to find that. So let's get into the question 1. It says solve x plus 4 equals to 9. What do? If we're adding 4 onto this side, if we just want x, so we simply subtract 4 on this side. So we simply do 9 minus 4. So if whatever on this side you want to move to the other side, make sure you just switch the sign. So the positive becomes a negative. Yeah? So 9 minus 4 is 5, so x is just 5. Easy? Now question 2, x minus 5 equals to 12. Now I want to get rid of that minus 5 and move it over to the other side. So if I have negative 5 on this side, I must add 5. So I have 12 plus 5, and that will simply be 17, so x is 17. Okay, so just the key thing is to switch the signs. If it's negative, make it positive. If it's positive, make it negative. Question 3, x minus 15 equals to negative 16. You guys should all be able to tell me, how do we get rid of that one? Simply move it over by adding it. So negative 16 plus 15 is x, which is simply negative 1. Okay? Now 4, okay, this time it's a little bit different because we have 7x equals to 42. Now I don't want 7x, I just want x. So how do we get rid of that 7? Now see how 7x means 7 times x? So if I want to get rid of that 7, I simply need to divide, because the opposite of times or multiply is divide. So x will be 42 divided by 7, which is 6. So x is 6. Okay, so just dividing both sides by 7. And when I say dividing both sides, sometimes I'll say divide both sides or add both sides. What I mean by that, guys, for example in this one, we have 7x equals to 42. Now, as it's 7 times x, we must divide by 7. So the idea behind this is not just simply moving the 7 over, we're actually dividing both sides by 7. So I'm not just dividing this side by 7. In order to get rid of that 7, I need to divide this side by 7 as well. That's how we get here. So see how 7 divided by 7, that cancels to make 1, isn't it? So we just have x, so x is 42 divided by 7, which makes 6. That's the idea behind this. So you'll often hear me say divide both sides, do something to both sides. That's the idea. Okay, so whenever we do something, it's always to both sides. But then the working out is just showing you like that. Okay, so make sure you understand what I'm saying. So that was question 4. We simply did division. Now 5, negative 11x equals to 88. I don't want negative 11x, I just want x. So how do we get rid of that negative 11? Because it's negative 11 times x, we must divide by negative 11. So we'll have 88 divided by negative 11, which is negative 8. So x is negative 8. Okay, and guys, just remember you can always put your answer back into the original equation and check your answer just to make sure you got it right. So if you sub in negative 8 into x here, negative 11 times negative 8 is positive 88, because negative makes a positive. Okay, so you can always check your answers. Question 6, this time we have x divided by 5 equals to 6. Okay, x divided by 5 equals to 6. We're dividing here, so how do we get rid of that 5? We simply move it over to the other side by multiplying, because the opposite of divide is multiply. So 6 times 5 is x, which is 30. Okay, that's pretty much it. And I'll show you one more thing here, guys. X divided by 5 is 6. I'll probably also say because we're dividing by 5, let's multiply by 5 to get rid of that 5 over there. Now getting rid of that 5 is not just the idea of moving the 5 onto the other side. We're multiplying by 5 on both sides. That's how we get this. Because have a look, 5 times x on 5. This is 5x on 5, isn't it? Yeah, because when we multiply something to a fraction, it always goes to the numerator. So this is 30. Now this 5 divided by 5 is 1, so x is just 30. That's how we get x. Okay, so make sure you understand the fact that when we do any of these equations, we're doing something to both sides. Okay, but then you can think of it easily of just moving something to the other side. This is the easy way of thinking, but you have to understand the background as well. Okay, so we're actually doing it to both sides to get the answer. Okay, so that's question 6. 7, x divided by negative 7 is negative 9. I don't want the negative 7 on the denominator because we're dividing, x divided by negative 7. So to get rid of that negative 7, we need to multiply. So negative 9 times negative 7, negative times negative makes a positive, so it's going to be positive 63. Okay? Now 8. 3x plus 2 is 14, so it's getting a little bit more longer. Now, I'm going to start off by doing any of the adding and subtraction first. So see how we have plus 2? I want to get rid of that first. So I'm going to move that to the other side by subtracting 2 onto 14. So I'll have 3x is 12. Okay, so I got rid of that first. So always trying to get rid of the negatives or positives first. Now, we have 3x, or 3 times x, equals to 12. What's the opposite of multiply? Divide. So I'm going to divide by 3 to get 4. 12 divided by 3 is simply 4. Okay, so with these kind of ones, you must go step by step. Don't rush yourself and do everything at once. Get rid of one first and then do the other. Okay, so that's the key thing. Now question 9, negative 2x plus 1 is 9. Again, we have plus 1. So I always want to get rid of the plus 1 or the negative 1 first. So move that onto the other side by subtracting 1 from 9 to get 8. And then now I have negative 2x, or negative 2 times x, equals to 8. How do we get rid of the negative 2? Because we're multiplying, we must divide. So 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. Okay, so again, I just took the step-by-step process. Question 10, what are you guys going to do? You guys should be able to tell me now, what should I get rid of first? The negative 1. I want to get rid of that first by moving it over to the other side by adding 1. So 11 plus 1 is 12. Now we have x divided by 3 is 12. We're dividing by 3, so we need to multiply by 3 onto 12. So 12 times 3 is simply 36. That's the answer. Okay? Now 11, okay, we've got some decimals, but don't worry, don't freak out if you have decimals, just keep it the same way. So, again, see I have plus some number. I'm going to try to move that onto the other side first. So any additions or subtractions, get rid of that first. So, first of all, this person actually, what we did was multiply both sides by 10, okay, because you can do what I did. You can move this over to this side first and then keep your process, or you can start like this, where we get rid of any decimals. So because I know that some of you don't like working with fractions or decimals, like I do as well, so get rid of the decimals first. So see how if I multiply this by 10, that will be one decimal place to the other side, so that will become 3. So I'll have 3x. So when you're doing something to one number or one term, you must do it to all of the others. So if 0.4 times 10 is 4, 1.6 times 10 is 16. So as long as you multiply the same number onto all of these, you can just do the same thing to everything. Okay, so that's what I did. So I'll keep this method first and I'll show you something else later. So this is what I did first, get rid of the decimals to make it a little bit more simple. And then now, do the same thing. The plus 4, I'll move it onto the other side to make it subtraction. So 16 minus 4 is 12. 3x is 12. So how do we get rid of the 3? Simply divide. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. That's how we get the answer. Okay? And that's pretty much it. So up to you guys. Both ways will get you the same answer. You can move this over first and get rid of the decimal, whatever you like. Maybe getting rid of the decimal first at the beginning is maybe a little bit more easy for you guys. So stick to this method, hopefully. Okay, so that's question 11. That's the end of the first part.